Welcome back to another episode of College Hockey Talk. On today's episode, I am joined by freshman from the Minnesota State women's hockey team, Taylor Ortremba. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, Taylor, and how's everything going?
Thank you. Thank you for having me. It's been good. Everything's good.
Yeah, obviously you're starting the off season right now. So how has your off season been so far? And do you have any plans this summer, whether it's hockey related or not?
It's been pretty good. I've just been really working out and then I'm home now, so just spending time with my family. And then this summer I plan to go to back down to Mankato and train there and then also do a couple other things here in the cities. But yeah.
Nice. What's something that you want to work on during the summer to help your game improve for next season?
Probably for sure, just always like speed and stick handling, just always want to get better at that for sure. And then um, just my strength also too, because that's such a big part of our game, I would say, and that allowing for like a better shot too. So I think that's what I'll probably focus on this summer.
Now, I want to start off this podcast like I always do by talking about the beginning of your hockey career and sort of working all the way up to where you are today. So, from the research that I did on yourself, it says that you're from Lakeville, Minnesota. Talk about growing up there and how'd you start playing hockey?
Yeah, so I've always lived in Lakeville and like went to school here in Lakeville. It's a good community. Always love it. Like there's so many things to do and everything. But I really only started playing hockey because my family, like everyone plays hockey. And a big factor in that too is that my grandpa was a college coach. And so everyone would go to the games and support him and his teams. And then my brother also played. So then I would always have to go to his games. And so after watching just like all the hockey and everything, I was like, I want to play too. So I started there and haven't looked back.
Yeah. Which school did your grandfather coach?
He coached UND and Omaha.
Nice, nice. Was he
Mhm.
the coach when they made it to the Frozen Four back in 2015?
Yep, that was
Oh,
him.
that's cool. I remember that was one of my first college hockey games I ever went to when it was back in Boston. So that's pretty cool to remember.
That's cool. Yeah.
Well, growing up, who was your favorite player? Did you watch any teams growing up? Like, who was sort of your hockey idols that you try to, I guess, monitor your game after or just like to watch?
I would probably say Sidney Crosby. And that's also too like my brother, his favorite player was Sidney Crosby. So I was like, I want to be like him type thing. But we would always watch his games and I would say for sure him and I liked how he played and his hands were good. So yeah.
And obviously, before you went to college at Minnesota State, like you mentioned, you played for your high school at Lakeville South. Talk about your high school hockey experience there and what do you take away from it when you look back on it now?
Oh yeah. So I started playing for the high school team at eighth grade. And so that first year I was like the only eighth grader on the team, which was really cool. And I'm really blessed to be able to be there. And it was kind of fun though, because my line, we were the diaper line because it was me and then a freshman and then a sophomore. So we were like the young ones on the team. But that season was amazing because we ended up going to the state tournament and that whole experience was amazing. And then past the next years were a little rough, but then my junior and senior year were really fun and being able to play with like my hometown friends, like it was just always fun to go to the rink and spend time with them more. And it was just a great experience. And I'm so happy I got to be able to do everything I did with that team.
What's like the best memory from your high school hockey days when you look back on it now?
I'd say the state tournament for sure is definitely up there. But it was like eighth grade, so kind of far, but closer to my senior year, I would say in our um, section playoffs, we played Lakeville North, and so they're our rivals, and our whole town goes to our games, and of course it's a section game, and we ended up playing at our home rink at Hossey, and the stands were completely packed. We had the band there, and it was just super fun, and we ended up winning. I don't know if it was overtime or not, but it was definitely a close game. We ended up getting an empty netter, and the energy in the building was insane and the support from the community was great. So I think that was definitely one of my highlights from my high school career.
Yeah. What's that rivalry like between you and Lakeville North and South? Because assume it's probably very intense. And what are the student sections like when those games take place?
Oh, the student sections are insane. I think the first game of our first rival series our senior year, our student section ended up breaking the glass, banging it too much after we scored, and we had to delay a little bit the first period because to clean it up. But it's insane. We got like student section dresses up and the band, and either if it's at Lakeville North or Lakeville South, the whole rink is packed, and it's almost like a college game, and they do cheers, and it's so fun to be a part of.
And that sort of leads to my next question, but how did your high school, I guess, talk a little bit about the Minnesota high school hockey scene and just what it's like being a player in that atmosphere? Because I'm from the East Coast, and I feel like a lot of us East Coasters don't really understand just how big Minnesota high school hockey is. Like I
Mhm.
see how you guys sell at the Excel Energy Center for a high school hockey game. That would never happen here, if I'm being honest with you, and just the excitement, the camaraderie, how it unites the communities together, it's sort of unlike any other. So why is it so popular in Minnesota, and just how cool is it to be a part of that atmosphere, getting the chance to play for your hometown and getting to move on, help have that experience help you move on in your hockey career where others people in other areas can't do that.
Yeah, I think it's just crazy how Minnesota is like one of the only places where you can play for your hometown. And it's so cool. Like you can just drive right next door to the town and play a hockey game. And you have like full teams of actual like girls playing. And that's really cool to see because I know out east, like you only have a couple of teams and they got to travel and all that stuff. But I think too, like Minnesota, like state of hockey, and I think everyone just really loves hockey, and the communities like all support each other, and it's just a really cool thing. And like the state of hockey of like the state tournament, that too is insane. Like the XL Energy at NHL rank is sold out, and it's just really cool. And it's hard to explain, but it's just something that you almost want to be a part of because like everyone's so close together, and it's cool. It's really cool.
I know you have a lot of Minnesota girls on your team now, but do you ever talk to the girls who aren't from Minnesota on your team, just how cool it is? And are they sort of like me and sort of want to learn more, but it's hard to understand at the same time?
Yeah, they always ask questions too, but then we ask them like, wait, so you played this team and you had to go this like all the way over here. So it's kind of like a back and forth thing about each
Yeah.
other's like hockey experience, but they definitely do. They're like, what? Like you played that's like you played each other. Like you're like I have a girl on our team right from Farmington and Rosemont, and like I would play them. They're like, that's so weird. Like you guys were just played for your hometown and played each other. And it's like, yeah, like it's crazy.
hmm And I do want to ask, I noticed one thing I love about the state tournament is the all hockey hair team. When
Mm.
will they do one for the girls' side? Because I feel like they only do it for the men's.
Yeah, I think the same thing. I love those videos every year watching them and the language that they use, but I don't know, some girls there's not too many hairstyles you can do, but I know some girls have tried to put their self out there and make it cool.
hmm
Like, a couple girls like they would dye their hair or they'd go up to the line looking all like waving it around, but they should definitely make one next year.
Did you ever try to do something like that when you were in high school?
I didn't, but I think yeah, I probably would have tried if we went back, but
Yeah,
it'd be cool.
just do a cool hair flip when they announce the starting lineups. I feel like that's the way to get on the team.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Now, how did your high school hockey experience help prepare you for college hockey with Mankato?
I would say that in high school hockey, like we would go to the rink every day, and it's Monday through Saturday. Every day we'd be at the rink, like, and I would lift too. So then it's like a 3 hour deal of, skating and lifting. And sometimes you would have 4 games in a week. And transferring that over to college, I think it made it easier too, because then I already had that routine of going to the rink every day. And then now it's a little different with the series only at the end of the week. But I think it helped to like just having that routine of going to the rink every day. And then, I mean, obviously, back to back games in a day is definitely different than like having a break in between. But I think just like that whole like aspect of it for sure.
And like you mentioned, you're also playing against other commits in different towns as well. So that must help playing sort of the similar competition that you're going to see in college as well.
Yeah. So then like we would play, like you have a couple girls who are committed also. So then you have good competition and get to play a little bit and be creative. So yeah.
How many girls from your team are playing college hockey now?
I think, well, from last year for sure, three of us. Claire Enright is at Wisconsin, and then Anna Mater is at Gus Davis. But
Nice.
there have been girls in the past that have gone off to play college hockey.
Two national championships on the same team. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Proud of them for sure.
Well, talk about your recruitment process to Minnesota State and what made you want to go there versus other schools you might have looked at.
Yeah, so actually in like eighth and freshman year, like we started talking to a bunch of schools and Minnesota State, but then the rule change happened and half of the people in my grade committed already, but I haven't yet. So then rule change and then stopped talking for a few years. And then finally, like the junior year summer happened, and the first day or whatever, did a bunch of phone calls with people, different schools, and I ended up like, I want to play in the WCHA for sure. And so that was a huge aspect of why I wanted to go to Minnesota State. And then I also wanted to stay kind of close to home, but I also wanted that college feel of like, okay, I'm kind of going actually away to college. So it's enough distance from my home where my family can come watch the games and stuff, but I can also come home if I want to, or I can just stay at Mankato if I don't want to go back. I also was really undecided of what my major I wanted to be, and then Mankato had like a bunch of options. So then I was like, okay, I'm not too nervous about knowing for sure what I want to do. Um, and I really just loved the rink, and it was super cool. The locker room and the facilities, like it's really cool in there. And also, I think purple is my favorite color. So then I was like, oh, that I want to be purple. So.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you have a major now or are you still undecided?
Right now I'm doing civil engineering.
Nice, nice. I have know nothing about that because I'm not a math guy. So
Yep.
thank you for doing that because we need more math people because people
Yeah.
like myself, we wouldn't know what we're doing.
Yep.
Well, as a freshman, what was sort of like the biggest adjustment you had to make to college hockey? Was it the speed of the game, the physicality, or just sort of the less time and space that you have with the puck?
I think definitely a little bit of all of it. I think definitely that first game it was like whoa, like it is like go go go, which is super fun, but it was like, oh, this is going to take a few games to get used to, but it's super fun once you got used to it, and like the competition is awesome. And so I think that was the hardest adjustment, but it doesn't take too long to get used to it.
Now, like you mentioned, you wanted to play in the WCHA. That was one of the reasons why you chose to go to Mankato. So, what's it been like playing in the WCHA and just the competition you face every weekend?
It is amazing. Like every weekend is a hard game. Every weekend is not going to be easy. And like growing up, like thinking like you're playing like all these big teams, like it's so fun. And I'm so blessed to be able to play each one of these games, but it's the competition is great. Every team is great. Every player is great. So just knowing that you're going into the weekend going to have a hard game, it's exciting for sure.
Now, you got your first collegiate goal against Bemidji State this past season. Talk about that goal, what it meant to you, and where do you keep the puck today?
Yeah, it honestly was a whole like blur now. Like even in the moment, I was like, what just happened for sure. But um I remember my line, I think we scored two goals actually really like back to back close. So I don't remember if my goal was first or the other goal was first. I think the other goal was, but we already had like momentum and we were getting close. We kept getting chances, and suddenly like puck was in their end and got slipped the puck across the net, and I buried it back door, and I was like, oh, like no way this happened, and sailed into the corner, and then Sydney Langsa jumped about 5 feet in the air on top of me, and I was it was great, but it was fun, and it means so much to me, and it was just like the beginning, and it was kind of like a breath of fresh air for sure too, like oh, like that just happened, like first collegiate goal like of my college career. Like this is good. And then um puck though, it's now in my room and we have it get them at the end of the year on a plaque. So it's hanging up
Nice.
in my room now.
That's
So
good. That's good. You want to memorialize that moment.
mhm.
I feel like a lot of players, when they talk about their first goal, it's more just relief that they finally got that monkey off their backs. They don't have to think about it for the rest of the season. Because I know
Yeah.
it's like a huge sort of thing that's always weighs on people's shoulders.
Yeah, I like the intensity of like, hey, when is it gonna happen? When is it gonna happen? And it was hard to like, okay, not really worry about it in all those games beforehand, but it was just kind of like, oh, like it felt good to finally score for sure.
Now, how do you balance hockey and academics at such a high level as a Division I athlete?
Yeah, it's definitely not easy, but it's once you get that routine down of your day and like sticking to it. And for us, we have like lift and skate in the morning. So it's get all your hockey done in the morning and then after you grind out school and then if you have any time left, you hang out with your buddies. But I mean, other than that, it's just trying to stick to that routine and staying on it for sure.
Now, talk about your team's performance this past season and what did you take away from it from your perspective?
Yeah, so we won good games and we lost some of the games that we wish that we should have definitely last year, but I think we know what we have to really do now and improve on. And I think that this next year is going to be really good and we're going to just have to put in that work and know that adjust to some of the things that the teams are doing against us and just capitalize on our opportunities more for sure.
Now, you lost to Wisconsin in the WCHA playoffs this past season. I want to ask, what'd you learn from that playoff series that you think is going to help your team out for next season?
hmm well, Wisconsin's atmosphere is one like no other for sure, and it's super fun to play in there. But um, I think for that series, we kind of fell apart in that second period mainly, both games. And I think for next year, like we gotta focus up on that second period and playing like the whole game for sure. Because I think we let up in those second periods, and that kind of let us behind. But we knew that we could win. We just need to play the whole game, and I think that's what we're gonna focus on next year for sure.
Now, you mentioned there was a lot of adjustments that you had to make to college hockey when you first started out this past year. So I want to ask, what do you think was the biggest improvement you made to your game from the start of the season to now?
Yeah. Honestly, just that decision making because since everything getting faster and the physicality of the game, like it's more intense, I think just making those quick decisions to make those plays because you don't have a lot of time and space now. And being able to do that quicker is, I think I improved definitely from the beginning of the year.
What's been like your favorite moment from your freshman year when you look back on it now?
I would say for sure my first goal was up there, but honestly, too, along with that, I would say like the first game of the actual season because it was just kind of like I finally like I'm playing college hockey now at the Division I level. Like this is happening, and it was at home, and it was just really fun to finally start. And I think the nerves and the excitement was all getting into me, but I think that was a good moment in the season for sure.
Now, what are your team's goals and expectations for next season?
I think our goals 100% is to win every game. I think every game we should try to win and we expect to win. And then along with, winning a national championship. And that's the goal every season. And we're going to try to do that in the best of our ability next season. But we're going to take one game at a time for sure and win them all.
Now, I have to ask this question. I always like to. Do you know what your non-conference games are for next season? And if so, are you allowed to share them?
I do know that our schedule just got released. I haven't really looked into it too much, but I do know one of our first games is versus Sacred Heart for
Oh,
sure.
at their new rink?
Yeah,
Oh,
so
nice.
we'll go there, which is going to be super fun. And then I don't know, I haven't looked too much yet, but yeah, I know it's on our website now.
Nice. Well, go check that out. I should have looked at I only was looking at the 2022-23 schedule. I should have checked if they released it that or not. But yeah,
It
no,
just came
that's
out a couple days ago, so
yeah, for sure. No, that's pretty cool. You get to play at that new rink. I haven't been there myself, but it looks really cool, like the facilities and all that stuff.
yeah.
What's been like your favorite road arena to play in? Probably LeBron or Ritter, if I had to guess.
Yeah, I would say Wisconsin for sure. That's a cool place to play in.
Is it an intense, hostile atmosphere? Do the fans trip you at all? I feel
Oh
like
yeah.
some players like love that though.
Yeah, it's fun. I like it, but I also really like when we're standing at the line, we're doing our starting lineup, and the cheer that the band does, it's like a good like little groove to it, and I kind of jam out to it, so it's fun.
Yeah. My favorite student section moment during like a starting lineup announcement is they all had like newspapers, and whenever they announced the visiting team starting lineups, they would just yell out like sucks and like flips the newspaper like they're not paying attention. I just
That's
thought that was
funny.
funny.
That's cool.
So we're now in a segment I like to call the non-hockey segment, where I ask you some non-hockey questions just to get to know you and your teammates a little bit more off the ice. First one is, what music do you like to listen to?
I listen to a lot of music, a lot of types, but I would say right now I'm listening to a lot of country.
It's summertime, so it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
What's your guilty pleasure TV show?
I would say The Price is Right or Family Feud.
Nice. Which one would you rather be on as a guest?
Oh, that's hard, but I would say Family Feud.
I feel like I'd do better in Family Feud too. I just
Mhm.
don't know like which members of my family would actually want to do it or not. That's the
Yeah,
challenge.
I know, picking the right people.
They should do one for the WCHA, like Minnesota State versus like St. Cloud State or something. I think that would be kind of cool.
That would be so cool. We should do that.
What is your most embarrassing hockey moment?
There was this time I was playing 3-on-3, and I think I tried to take a slap shot from little ways out, and I ended up missing the puck and falling. But I wasn't. I was. It was in high school, but it was embarrassing. And then I think the rink had cameras too, and I knew the guy who um like owned the rink, so then he like had it on camera and kept replaying it, and like so that was not fun.
Did anyone say anything about it after, like any of your teammates and fans and
Oh
stuff?
yeah, for weeks they kept like, "Oh Taylor, what happened?" It was just, I don't know, guys.
Yeah. Well, at least you can laugh about it now, so that's all good.
Yeah.
What would the perfect day for you look like?
Oh, perfect day. Probably wake up and then I would have like a full meal that my mom made, probably with like pancakes and scrambled eggs and a donut and some orange juice. And then I would probably go to the rink for sure and play some hockey with my friends and probably just goof around at the rink and everything. And then once we're done with that, probably go to the lake and go on the boat and spend the rest of the day out there and probably end it with a campfire. That would be a good day.
That sounds like the most Minnesotan day I've ever heard.
I know.
Play
Yeah.
hockey and then go to the lake afterwards.
Yep.
I feel like
Yep.
mine is pretty basic, but probably go to a hockey game or baseball game and then like chill with friends or family afterwards.
That sounds good too.
So let's ask some questions about some of your teammates. Who's the funniest teammate you have at Mankato?
Oh, the funniest teammate. That's pretty good. Ocean Asham she says some stupid stuff, so she's funny for sure. I love her.
Now we were
Or
talking about,
or Alexa Berg. Alexa Berg she says some pretty funny comments.
all right. Now you know how we were talking about the all hockey hair team. Who would you think from your team would be make that team? I feel like yourself. I love the hat with the flow going on right now, so I would say you,
Oh,
Taylor. But
thank you.
besides yourself, who would you say would make that team?
Oh, that's who's got good hair. Madison Mashuga, she's a ginger and curly hair. So
Hmm.
she's special like that. So I would say she's up there, but Um, Jaden Seifert, she's got perfect hair, so probably her too.
Who has the best style on on the team, both on and off the ice?
Off the ice, I would say Jaden Seifert. She kind of provides the team with clothes. On ice, though, I would say either Brooke Bryant. She's got some good style, or Ocean Asham. She does like the roll up the sleeves onto
Yeah.
the elbow pad, so she looks pretty good in her gear too.
Now, if you could have lunch with anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
I'd probably say Morgan Wallen at the moment.
I feel like he wouldn't be able to talk though, isn't he? Like off the like he's like canceled his tour for like 6 weeks or something like
Yeah,
that.
I saw that he's done with his concerts for 6 weeks now, and I'm like, ooh, it's not good, but
Hey, as long as he doesn't ruin his voice for the rest of his life, if it means
yeah,
taking off 6 weeks, I'd rather have that than him going on tour and then not being able to make any more music anymore because of it.
yeah, yeah, for sure.
So it'll be a nice type conversation, I guess. Like you can like text each other during dinner or something.
That'd be fun.
So last non-hockey question is, what is the most interesting thing you've read or seen this week?
Ooh,
I have
well,
mine if you need to think about yours.
I went hunting this week with my dad, so I'd probably say seeing all the turkeys and stuff, but nothing too interesting other than that.
Did you catch any turkeys, I presume?
No, we didn't get anything this time, but maybe next time.
I've never gone hunting before in my life, so I'm not sure like how it works, but I feel like I don't know if I would do a good job at it because I'm a very noisy person when I walk around,
Oh,
so I feel like that
mhm.
would not I would not be a good hunting partner at all.
Yeah, that would be a little difficult.
I think the most interesting thing that I saw recently was just the whole thing with the Arizona Coyotes, like new stadium, and how the Tempe voters voted no for the new stadium. So now they're not sure what to do with the Coyotes because they don't want them playing at Mullet Arena just because it's
Oh,
too small. So it's
yeah,
interesting whether they'll relocate to another city or if they're going to try to, or how they're going to try to figure out how to play in Arizona. So I thought
yeah,
that was interesting. I found it disappointing though because I really want hockey to work in Arizona. I think it's good for the sport to
yeah.
have different regions have successful NHL franchises. You see it with Vegas and Seattle, and I just think it helps the sport grow. So it is
Mhm.
disappointing that it hasn't really been working out in Arizona, but I hope they can figure out a way if that's possible.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, getting back to some hockey questions now, for all the younger fans that are listening to this episode, what advice would you give them on what it takes to be a college hockey player like you are?
I would say for sure it takes a lot of sacrifice and you're going to have to give up things and you're going to have to give up, some of those days where you want to hang out with friends, but you got to go to hockey and get better. And, you just got to stick through it. Like you got to know your goals and stick to your goals and really want it. And if you do that and you have a good mindset about it and know your goals, and I think you have a pretty good chance of making it.
Now, what should be done to help grow women's hockey from your perspective?
Ooh, I would say probably attend more games and support it and probably get some more coverage on it for sure because there's a ton of talented women out there and if we expose that to more of the world and post it through social media I think it could get a lot more attention and it'll help the game grow for sure and have more people watch the games.
Absolutely agree with that. Now, before we end this interview, do you have any shout outs you want to give to any of your family members, teammates, former teammates, friends? And who should we have on the podcast next?
I think any of the women at Minnesota State would love to come on the podcast for sure but um, other than that I'd say hi to all my Minnesota State women and love you guys and can't wait to see you guys in the summer.
Well, I just want to let you know that Kiana Roski recommended that you come on the podcast. So that's why you're on today. So I just want to give her a shout out for having you on. It was great talking with you.
Love Key. She was my roommate. So
Well, thank you once again, though, Taylor, though, for coming on the podcast. I really do appreciate your time. It means so much to myself, and I wish you all the best. And I can't wait to see your team on the ice next season. And good luck with all the engineering stuff as well. I don't know. I couldn't do it, so I appreciate you figuring out a way to do it because, like I said before, I'm not good at math.
thank you. It's definitely hard so far, but we'll do it.